Hey guys, it's San and welcome back to the BulbaSquad. So, today we're just going to be having an open-ended discussion. Just kind of various little things in the market I see right now. And well, not even that, mostly what I'm doing. What I'm waiting for, what I'm seeing. Long story short, I've got to readjust my seat. Long story short, in the hobby right now, there's a lot of doom and gloom, and I know I was part of that all last year because I wanted to counteract the hype, but right now, there's too much of it. Honestly, the only reason people are so doom and gloom is because right now it gets the views. And quite frankly, because a lot of these people are not able to think for themselves. Okay? I'm just going to say it like it is. People cannot think for themselves, they cannot look past whatever the noise is. And quite frankly, if you allow that to influence you, you are going to have a bad time in not just Pokemon, in literally any market. Because when you follow the crowd, 9 times out of 10, you eventually get burned. And you feel even worse about it, plain and simple, because it wasn't your own decision. So, what am I doing in the hobby? Right now, I'm educating myself. And in my opinion, I think that's what everyone else should be doing too. At this moment, vintage is still falling. Don't try to time when the knife hits the ground, okay? You're not going to be able to do it. Everyone knows it. SM Pratt, Rudy, anyone with half a brain knows you will never time that market perfectly. And we don't know what's going to happen as of yet. Where things are going to settle, if some markets are done, or if, like, I personally believe modern is nowhere near done dropping. We still got time. We're getting there. And whenever you're in that kind of situation, I think it's best to, instead of trying to just throw money at things and trying to diversify to try and insulate yourself, to try and maximize investment, you should actually just work on educating yourself. Let's say you've only been in modern. You've only ever known modern. You don't know anything about WotC. Go learn about WotC. Go learn about the main sets. Learn a bit about their history. What did people think about it? What's the intrinsic value now? How is it aged? Start learning that stuff. The larger your repertoire is, the better off you will be in the long run, because as time goes on, you can start comparing notes, figuring out, hey, I can see something kind of repeating itself. Obviously, usually it's not identical, but they're similar. And then you're going to hear about that later on when I talk about the Pokemon business cycle and honestly what I'm waiting for, which is the trial. And the other thing I'm doing right now is saving. Right now in the hobby, we are in a point in time where opportunity is coming, in my opinion. You can move into vintage now if you want to. Where it is right now, the cost basis you're buying in at isn't that bad, okay? Even if it goes below where you buy, here's what it is. Buying right now in the hobby, in my opinion, buying right now in the hobby at these prices is less risky than if you bought at the prices at 2019. Why? Because from this point forward, the hobby is established, much more established. The world basically knows that Pokemon, or at least not the world, a lot of people, a lot more, know that Pokemon has money in it. Sports card investors came in. We had a bunch of momentum flippers that were here. A lot of new investors, new blood. They know we exist. Forevermore from now on, people are going to just keep an eye on us. They know it exists. If there's money to be made, they'll come back. It'll inflate the market again. We'll have more money circulating through it. So, knowing that, seeing how Pokemon has grown it more into its own, because remember, we are nothing by comparison to the sports card market. Sports card market, like, we're down here and they're like way at the moon. They're just on another level with how optimized they are, how they move. We are nothing. So, you could technically buy in vintage if you want to, but I'm personally saving because I believe in modern. People have called me out because I advocate for the best value for your dollar, but I talk about modern, so I'm going to expand a little bit on that. Let's be honest, okay? We're broke, most of us. We don't have that much money. We do not have the money to go drop 17 grand on a fossil booster box. We do have the money to drop a couple hundred into the hobby during the month. And that's where most people are. That is the average person. SM Pratt is not the average. Not even a Z and G is the average. No, most average people have less than that because of their just simple living expenses. And so I work in modern. Modern is affordable, and I do see potential in it. So I'll tell you what. I am currently waiting for Pokemon to reach its next stage of the business cycle. For those of you that do not know, a business cycle essentially it's just a typical graph just businesses follow where they have this growth and then after a little while they'll peak out, they'll stay at that peak for X amount of time and then they'll start dipping down for a little bit into a trowel and then they'll go back through growth. Usually it trends upwards. Pokemon, believe it or not, has a very similar growth cycle to this. You wouldn't think it, but I realized it not that long ago whenever I started looking back through all of that knowledge I'd gained over the year. The Pokemon has a cycle that you wouldn't normally see. And that's why I advocate for educating yourself, because otherwise I would never be able to see this. Maybe others have seen it, and the only reason they've seen it is because they educated themselves. So let me expand on that. From base set up until jungle, Pokemon was on a roll. It was hot. And we're talking way and Watsy, the first gen. And then base 2 came out. And the hobby as a whole kind of slowed down a little bit. People didn't like base 2. It was a knee-jerk reflex that they didn't want to deal with. And then Team Rocket kind of stabilized it. But there wasn't that much demand. What happens is, you see, Pokemon it's a big company. It takes some time to react. Wizards of the Coast, same thing. It took some time for them to react, so usually you don't see their actual changes in supply until a few sets down the road. Well, from Rocket to then the Neo block, Neo Genesis, Neo Discovery, the demand weakened more. Neo Genesis, there's a certain excitement with a base set to every new gen, so it had a leg up, but Neo Discovery was weak. Okay, right now it doesn't look like it because of the Yanma, the Espeon, the Umbreon, but it was weak, and Neo Discovery was actually the laughing stock of the Neo block for quite a long time, up until recently. People just didn't care because Yanma's the most valuable card, are you kidding me? Yeah, I get it. Then we hit Neo Revelation all the way through the Neo block. And after that, it slowed down. We started hitting the E-Series cards, we started hitting all of those other cards, and it slowed down. It was exciting. There was stuff going on, but not as exciting. Oh yeah, I forgot. It was Rocket through the Gym series. I forgot Gym series is in between the Neo series. It just kind of slipped in there, just, quietly. And then you hit the Wizards of the Coast time. Or not Wizards of the Coast, Pokemon/Nintendo time. The block I focused on was, let's take a look at the... You know what, we're going to skip Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and all that. All of that was having its own down period. Like, basically from when Pokemon acquired... or Nintendo acquired Pokemon, up until almost the XY period. Like, a lot of it, or through the Heart Gold, Soul Silver period, it was a downtime in the hobby. A lot of it wasn't that hype. There were good sets scattered about. Absolutely. They were really good sets. Dragon Frontiers, everyone knows about that one. You want to go talk EX Deoxys? That was a great one too. A Delta species as well. But the thing is, the hobby as a whole was kind of stagnant. It wasn't growing that much. And then we eventually came into the XY period. So the XY period, not only was it a pretty solid period, it was alright. Especially towards the tail end. They really ramped it up. But we had the 2016 boom from Pokemon Go. And this is where it really reared its head. That's when I got to see the business cycle. During that time frame, Pokemon had an issue where they had a certain level of supply, and then the demand just shot way past it during that time frame. And lots of sets began to appreciate. You wanted perfect examples? Ancient Origins, Breakpoint, Breakthrough, Primal Clash, Roaring Skies. You know all of those? Yeah, because they were dead money for a long time. Because the demand far exceeded the supply in the long term when the population, the hobby grew. When that happened, Pokemon obviously had to kind of panicked and had to quickly start printing stuff yet again. That is exactly what's happening now. When that happened, they started reprinting stuff that they started having issues with on prices because they're too expensive. Rolling Skies should not be that expensive in their eyes. Remember, Pokemon is against these high prices. And whenever it finally cooled off, when we hit 2017, 2018, and it all kind of cooled off and slowed down, the print runs didn't stop. The print runs stayed at their level. Sun and Moon Base. So you guys remember that? It was in every other box, the same as Evolution. Sun and Moon Base, who I argue was just repackaged into ETBs. And yes, I do believe there was that many Sun and Moon Base packs that they made that many ETBs. That's my personal opinion. And after that, those print runs didn't really lower themselves for a long time. We had multiple failure after failure that weren't that exciting, but they weren't that bad, but there was too much supply for them. Celestial Storm, Guardians Rising, Lost Thunder, Burning Shadows, even to an extent. It was exciting, but the thing is, it was just Zard or bust, so it wasn't that exciting for people. Ultra Prism was exciting. And then after a couple bad sets like that, the supply dropped. We hit that trowel where Pokemon had its massive growth from 2016, and then it slowed down, and it hit the trowel, and it stayed kind of quiet, kind of low. Then we hit the team-up block. Basically, in my opinion, the Sun and Moon block gets really good when you hit team-up onwards. That's where it really starts hitting its stride, just perfect chef's kiss. When we hit that block, it started getting stronger and stronger. And I don't exactly know about the print runs at the time because no one was really talking about it. But in my opinion, and from speculation, I imagine that they probably started increasing the print runs a little bit. But then we hit Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates really just gave... Remember, guys, the party didn't start when Logan Paul showed up. The party technically didn't even start when the pandemic started. The party started when Hidden Fates dropped. Hidden Fates literally, single-handedly, caused growth in the hobby. It brought people back, it brought people in. That is how good it was. And from then on, we've been in this bull market. All of 2020 into 2021. Now, 2016, Pokemon boom. How does that even relate? Long story short, we had that boom. It slowed down, it went down, and then as a whole, the hobby slowed down for a while and boxes bottomed out. Eventually, when that happened, the supply or print runs for these boxes eventually came down. Let's say they were at 100% at that point in time. 100%, that is their maximum capacity at the point in time. They then reduced the print runs down to like 60%. 60% of what they were before. Still higher, but not as high as they could be because the demand simply isn't there to sustain the 100% print run. However, at that point in time, supply and demand, they're perfect. But when something comes along, after you've gone into this adjusting period where everything's finally gotten right, when the demand increases due to Hidden Fates, due to, I don't know, a pandemic, due to Logan Paul, that supply becomes smaller and smaller. That ratio of boxes to people gets worse and worse. And as time goes on, those boxes started appreciating. I'm expecting the same thing to happen soon. Quite frankly, I am expecting that in the coming, it might be a year, it might be 2 years, I don't know. It really depends on what Pokemon does. If they keep their print runs high, if they decide to go higher, if the hobby demand suddenly drops off at the same time as Pokemon ramps up, it massively is going to speed this up. But I expect they're going to have a few down periods with certain sets. We may already be in it, I don't know. I'm waiting, I need more data. When we hit that period, eventually they are going to make these sets that are going to be good. They're going to be good because Pokemon does that. They know what they're doing. They will make better cards. Look at the alt arts. We wanted better art after they got rid of the tag teams and they created alternate arts. When it all cools off enough and those print runs start going down and the hobby hits a new equilibrium point, that's when I really want to start getting involved in Modern again. Because at that point in time, I genuinely believe that buying at that level is going to be worth the risk. Because let's break it down. We've got Detective Pikachu 2 coming out. We're going to have more Pokemon games, and every time a Pokemon game comes out, it gives a little bit of interest into the card game, nothing massive. And potentially we could have more booms in the future. Not 2020 level. I don't expect that. Maybe Pokemon Go level, just something that's going to give the hobby jolts. We might just get another Hidden Fate set that's first of its kind, incredible, everyone loves it, brings people in. Like, if the hobby increases 5, 8, 10%, that's a massive growth. What we had last year was by no means ordinary, so do not set your standard at that. But if you... Oh, I'm just going to wrap it up now and give you guys a brief summary. In essence, I believe we are going through a business cycle. We've had a massive growth. We are pretty much peaking / declining now, and we are eventually going to hit the trowel. At the trowel, everyone's going to be very bearish on the hobby as a whole. People are going to be slamming on it, kind of like now, maybe even worse. And it's just going to be kind of a dead period. During that dead period is the opportunity to actually start buying, at least that I see, and I'm going to be taking advantage of that time. I'm not sure when. I'm probably not going to time it perfectly, because let's be honest, no one's going to time it perfectly. Don't beat yourself up if you're slightly early or slightly late to the party. So long as you're at the party, hey, you get to have a good time with the rest of us. And that's it, guys. So, tell me, what do you guys think about my little business cycle theory? Do you think I'm over-evaluating it? Do you think I'm just simply making up a pattern? Because if you look at something long enough, you create a pattern. Or do you really think that I have some grounds here? Do you think this might be legit? And if so, what are you going to do moving forward? Are you going to keep buying, saving? Maybe you're going to buy later. Maybe you're going to abandon the hobby as a whole. And if so, regardless, tell me why. So, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.